What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter.
Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house that's going to be torn down soon. I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building.
I'm joined today with Thor. Yes, Thor. I want him to tell me that all words are made up at some point in this interview, but we'll get to that later. But it's Thor Maurano. How you doing today, Thor?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. About yourself?
Oh, I can't complain. After all, I've got my very favorite audience member here today joining us. And why are you joining us today? It's because I'm interviewing commercial real estate investors, as I usually do. And why am I interviewing them? Well, part of it's because we have to. We have to just for the reasons that you need to have access to more deals, know more people who are in the business, but there's actually a legal reason too. So that's what we're up to. We're going through the 5 different motivations I find that are distinct among commercial real estate investors, and I say, hey, which one is you? Then I pull out the Dan Does Deals commercial roll die. I go through the 6 different roles, and I say, hey, what's your core competency that you're most likely to contribute in your next deal? And if you want your own dandoesdeals.com die, you can go to dandoesdeals.com. And I don't even ask you for your email like some sort of like Looney Tune. It's like that's the worst idea as far as marketing goes in the entire universe. But I want you to be able to effectively communicate on the subject of commercial real estate. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, Thor, can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, I'd love to. Listen, I'm completely new into this real estate game. I'm born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts, but I joined the military as soon as I had the chance. I've been 18 years active duty Air Force currently. I retired 2 years from now. So this has been a goal, a dream, and an ambition of mine to own and operate commercial real estate, especially on the large multifamily level that I'm currently doing. So,
Sweet.
Yeah,
All right.
that's me in a nutshell.
Good stuff. Well, that's actually the reason why I always go through motivations first, is because I also want to know, even if you're just starting out, we all have to start somewhere. And so everybody knows why they're doing it. But when you're first beginning, you're not entirely sure what you're going to be doing. So that's why I go through these motivations first. So the first motivation I found, it's the one of family offices and whatnot. If you already rely on the cash flow that comes from your assets to make your ends meet, well, your big concern that's going to lead you to the decision, hey, I'm going to go out and make a new commercial acquisition, because it's not the easiest thing in the world, right?
No.
So you got to have some sort of incentive. So why are they doing it? It's because inflation will eat away at that value of the cash flow. So you got to keep on making more acquisitions. That's not my motivation. My motivation is this next one, which is trading time directly for wealth. I have a background in e-commerce technology. I worked for a CRM company, and then I opened my own CRM agency, and then switched into doing that for real estate back in 2013. But the thing about making a bunch of money or being successful in a wage or a salary situation is you're paying more income tax, you're paying more tax than anybody else. So it hit me, why don't I pivot so that I'm going for equity rather than the salary? So that's what I'm up to. But the next reason is the most frequently chosen one. People want to fast track their retirement. Now, maybe that means they want to just get to the point where they're an accredited investor. Maybe they want to move someplace with a low cost of living and live out their days that way. But maybe they just want to work fewer months per year, or fewer weeks per month, or fewer hours per week. So the difference between that one and the next two is, though, these next two, they're going to keep on hustling into their 90s. The first one, they're just plain ambitious. They want to buy their entire hometown. They're looking for generational wealth to make sure that their great grandchildren never have to hold down a day job. And the last one, it's for people who have chosen a sector of society, or maybe it's the environment or animals or whatever it is. But they recognize that if you want to make a really big impact, having the wealth and the financial background is by far the most effective way. So that's why they're making more commercial acquisitions. So Thor, you're getting into this. Which of those five describes you best as far as what motivates you to get into this whole process?
Sure. Yeah. No, I can't necessarily say I can pinpoint just one.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more about myself. If you're ever familiar with the military and having to travel around, one of my biggest whys is for my family. My kids are growing up. They don't, every place that we've been to, we haven't been around family. And I want to be able to give that back to my kids. So I want the freedom to be able to own and operate my own business, take it wherever I want to, move wherever I need to be for my family. But I want to create that generational wealth for my grandkids. I didn't come from much. My dad was a workaholic. He felt he needed to work constantly just to make ends meet. And for those reasons, I kind of got the short end of the stick when it came to having family members at my baseball games or stuff like that, you know? So I want to be able to create that generational wealth for my family, gives my family the opportunity to easily be able to make those decisions, put family first, and not have to worry about finances.
Awesome. That's a fantastic answer. And that's one of the nice things about working from home is you get to be around your kids a lot more.
Oh yeah.
But back to CRE, let's do some of the different roles here. I like to start right from the beginning so that you understand how the pieces fit together and how my guest fits into this puzzle. Okay, so we're going to find out about core or applicable competencies in a sec, but let's explain the different roles. First, most obvious person in the whole situation is the repositioner. They're the acquisitions person. They're finding the properties. They're looking through all the papers. They're looking at all the different properties that are available. And what are they looking for? Well, the first thing they're going to do is the seller's going to give them some numbers, and they need to do the math. And they got a fancy word for that. That's called underwriting. And they're looking to say, okay, is this property actually making what they say it is? What kind of moves can we do to end up making more money from this property than it is right now? And the main tools that the repositioner has in their toolbox to get that upside, the first one is the operations piece.
Right.
They gotta stop those Benjamins from going down the toilet.
Yep.
But of course, there's more to operations than just unclogging toilets and doing bookkeeping and whatnot. There's also a marketing piece, which is one of my fortes that I'm bringing to some teams. And also there's some automation that can happen, but operations as a whole, you can become more efficient and then the property's making more money. But right now, real estate's so hot that that's probably not going to cut it. So the repositioner often will do a value add by getting a contractor team, getting a team in there to renovate the place, do that value add, make things nicer, and then that way you can charge more rent. So that's what they're up to there. But if you decide to be a repositioner and you're like me and you're from the internet, well, you got a problem. You're going to need a local. You're going to need boots on the ground. You're going to need somebody who can be there in an hour or two. And that's not going to be me. And that person's job is to make sure that the contractor doesn't cut corners and they're getting things done on time. And same with the operations. But if you line up all of these people in a row, show them to the tenants are likely to say, oh, that's all the owners. But of course, it's not that simple. The bankers have to get involved, the lenders, the financiers. And if you turn around to the financier, if you're the repositioner saying, here's the deal, here's the team, here's the, everything and everybody, they're going to say, that's not enough. There's somebody else we need to know. And they're going to say, who is your sponsor? who's your KP. Okay. And what that's all about is if you want to be eligible for a loan, you're going to need somebody in the fold who already owns a similar asset. Okay. So on top of that thing, and I'm saying like, even if you're like Elon Musk or something like that, if you want the loan, somebody has to be an existing owner of a similar asset, and you have to have a bit of liquidity, and you also have to have a balance sheet through the GPs, at least as much as the amount of the loan. But if you have all those pieces, you've got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So Thor, of those different roles there, where do you see yourself ending up? Or like maybe you can do like a short term, you figure you're going to be doing this and then you're going to be moving on to something else eventually. Where do you see your core competencies?
Sure. So first and foremost, I tend to be the type of person that wants to dig in and take part in every single role. Now, I'm not going to be doing that right off the bat. Of course, I have my own investors. The sponsor, I don't have the capital for that, or the experience to be able to consider myself a sponsor, but I definitely want that at some point. My forte, I would say, is more along the operations side. Being that I'm in the military, I've had a lot of experience with expediting, getting to understand what's needed to be able to succeed at a job, and making sure that that job is followed through step by step, finding the right people to undertake the different responsibilities needed. I think that right there is my forte. I do have a couple teammates that I rely on for the deal side of things, at the acquisitions. So yeah.
All right.
As far as the underwriting, I'm kind of working on that as well, learning as I go. So yeah.
Awesome. So, as far as an ideal property goes, when commercial real estate investors are talking to each other, they're talking about an ideal property, a buy box, something like that. They're really looking for three things. The first thing is the geography. Where is the property? Okay, that means what states, maybe what counties, maybe even what neighborhood. Okay, there's going to be a sweet spot as far as that goes. Maybe there'll be like a range. The second one is the unit count. Okay, so if it's industrial or like warehousing, that sort of thing, you're not going to have a unit count. But the other kinds of commercial, they'll have unit counts, and that's really going to be what they're judging by. And then the third thing that they're going to want to know is the class. But of course, class is two different things with the same word applied to it, and they use the same rating system for both of them, and I hate it. But the first meaning of it is the condition of the building. So is it all beat up, or is it spantastic? Neat word I just made up. Anyway, or the other meaning of class, it has to do with the neighborhood though. So like, what's the crime rate? How are the schools that are nearby? So both of them are scored just like in grade school with, B minus, A plus, that sort of stuff. And so that's what people are asking when they say, what's your ideal property? So Thor, as far as you and your team, what's the sweet spot as far as what you're most excited about right this second?
So what we do is we look for emerging markets, and we start to develop in those areas. Emerging markets, we're currently in Tampa at the moment. And what we're trying to do is find deals that are in a B or an A market. We're trying to find C and B list properties that we can develop and have good value add to get to those, get the property valuation up, with the rents to get them to that B plus A level of a market. Now, as far as doors go, starting off, we're kind of ambitious. We're looking at about 150 average for our door count. We'll settle down to about a 90 door count, or a combination of the two. to get to where we need to be. So.
All right, awesome. Now, one thing we were talking about earlier when we were going through the different roles there is because it's such a team sport, commercial real estate in general, nobody's all of the pieces once you get to bigger deals. Like you'll be experienced or maybe you'll understand them all, but people tend to specialize or whatnot. But one thing that is clear is that everybody has a certain type of player where they can help them more, or there's a greater need for them. Me personally, because of my marketing and tech and all that sort of stuff and the social media side, I'm always on the lookout for more sponsors and KPs, but without breaking any SEC restrictions. And the rule about that is if you have a deal in hand right now and it's a 506B, then you're not allowed to entice investors for any reasons. But if you have a 506C, you can go ahead and do what you want. And also if you do a Reg A, but it's easier if you just don't entice investors. But who might be there in the camera who you feel you can help more than anybody else? Is it like another beginner or one of the rules on the die, or what you got?
Sure. So being that we're completely new at this, we're trying to meet individuals from all walks, whether they're sponsors or 506C or B investors. But I think our primary focus right now is trying to find our network, our team that works with us, that we feel comfortable with. These deals, they're not quick deals. They take time, and we want to make sure that we're working with a solid team. So. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure if I got it.
Yeah, it does. It basically says the welcome mat's there. So like, regardless of which one you are, it's like, let's see if we can, find something we can cooperate on, rather than a more specific one of saying like, I need operators or I need contractors specifically. So that's a great answer. The next thing though is we ended up catching up with each other through LinkedIn. You saw how motivated I was to interview somebody named Thor. And is LinkedIn the best way to reach you, or is there a website that's better or something like that?
Yeah, so we're actually undergoing our new branding for our new company. So LinkedIn is the best way currently to contact me. But eventually we should have it up and running within the next couple of weeks. So.
But so LinkedIn just through your name. I always have your names in the
That's right.
Title and whatnot. So that'll be good. All right, sweet. So that only leaves one more thing, which is actually for you in the camera, which is that, I hope this has been really awesome. I hope that it helps you understand commercial real estate as a whole a lot better. But the thing you can do for me, if you just don't look too quickly, because like there's these big red letters. If you're on a phone, it's subscribe. It's terrible. But on a desktop, it's worse. It's this big awful red button, and I hate it. So all you have to do is you click it and then it turns gray. And I love the gray button. The gray button is awesome because that means YouTube will pay for these videos instead of me. And that's pretty much my favorite thing. And it doesn't cost you anything at all. As a matter of fact, all it means is that my videos might show up on your list of suggestions, but you can go ahead and ignore them because you've already done me an enormous favor. Just like Thor, you've done me an enormous favor today. Thanks for joining me. This has been awesome.
Hey, Dan, I appreciate the call. Thanks again.
Sweet. Hey, thanks for watching today. I want to say a quick word about 506B Me. You may know that these interviews are how I document my investor relationships for 506B compliance. Basically, you need to know the person that you're working with enough that you know their level of sophistication at the very, very minimum. And that's exactly what we're doing. If you're a commercial investor and if you've ever put any thought into what would happen if somebody says they were publicly solicited and you don't have the proper documentation, maybe it's something you didn't think of. I'm the kind of person who does think of that because I used to work for a CRM company. So I was sitting there saying, okay, well, how do you tag people? What kind of forms do you write? What kind of things do you make them accept? And then what do you end up showing people? Sure, it's in the old noodle, but really what you need is a third-party verification service. But the problem is, who can you trust with your list? That's something that I know from working for web.com back in the day. But anyway, I set up 506BME so that if you're at a live event, you just pull out your phone, it's got the QR code, they pull out their phone, they scan it, boom, and you're added to their watch list. So that when they get back to the hotel room or they get back home, they know everybody who they have to check out in these little punchy 15-minute interviews. Anyway, if you are a commercial investor or even if you're thinking about it, do 506BME after this. Thanks. Enjoy this episode.